I'm Sabir Semerkant, and you're watching Influencing Entrepreneurs with Casimir Ward.
After years of teaching entrepreneurship and consulting business owners, I realized that true knowledge comes from the wins and losses of those entrepreneurs. These are the stories of those business leaders. I'm Casimir Ward, and this is Influencing Entrepreneurs.
So today with me, we have an e-commerce growth advisor, Sabir Semerkant with Growth by Sabir. Thank you so much for being here today.
Cass, it's great to be here.
So we got a lot to talk about. Even in our previous conversations, a lot of things I want to revisit. I want to hear about your entrepreneurial journey, but I got to tell you, a lot of what you've put together as an e-commerce growth advisor, like even when I go to your sites, I see like you start out strong. That you start off with that you promise e-com brands into $10 million plus a year. I want to talk about what that looks like because it's such a strong promise. So where did this come from?
The promise comes from reality. So that's the thing. That statement has been proven time and time again. That's the reality behind it. With case studies, which we will definitely dive into, right? With actual case studies from Vitamin Shop, Ashley Stewart, Oram Brothers, very recently, right? There are so many of them, 200 plus e-com brands, to show that you can take that journey from $0 to $10 million, but it's going to take time, right? The thing is, this is not a get rich quick scheme. None of that stuff exists in my world, right? It's hard work. It's work. That's how you do it. That's what you need to do, right? There will be some stumbling blocks from 0 to 100K. I call it the proof of concept stage, where your non-friends and non-family members are buying the thing that you just made, right? And if you can prove it, great. Then you go from 100 to 250, 250 to 500, 500 to 750, 750 to a million. After you jump over the million, you're in a very unique situation, right? Because you're a smaller percentage of companies that have actually made it past $1 million from concept stage. You hear quite a lot of noise about brands that, you hear one-off stories like the snowflakes, right? It went from 0 to $100 million in 6 months. The reality is it doesn't happen that quickly. It doesn't.
But that you go out to LinkedIn, social media, and everybody's got the secret formula. I've mentioned before, like this is how Amazon will pay you $5,000 a day to do all of these things. Where do you start? So everybody wants to start at the $1 million mark. Yeah. Sign me up. I'm in for that. Nobody gets to start out there unless you already have $1 million. So what is the foundation so where somebody starts in early on so they can do the right things to get there?
So here's the thing. In our program, right, we can talk about the framework, and also the structured program that we take on e-com founders through in order for them to, go through that and set the right foundation in place, right? And over my 25-year career with $1 billion in incremental e-com sales, right, over that illustrious career, right, is what I found was it's never a one thing. There's no magic bullet. So if you're an entrepreneur, that I'm using that term very loosely for you, right?
Right.
That if you're that entrepreneur that thinks that there's a magic bullet, that one tactic you're going to find out on TikTok, that you're going to take that and you just out of the bathroom because you are watching your TikTok on the bathroom toilet seat, you're going to come back to your desk and you're going to implement that magical 30 seconds you just learned and you put it in there and boom, that's going to 10x your business, right? Great sales pitch.
Yeah.
But garbage. Doesn't work. That doesn't work. What you're going to do is you're going to go from tactic to tactic with no connection. It's just haphazardly. You're just moving from one thing to the other. You're wasting a lot of time. There's a structured way of doing this. And, it's very similar to that child's fable, the hare and the tortoise, it's that story, right?
Yeah.
You're going to crash and burn if you go very fast in this game, right?
Yeah.
Being very intentful, being the tortoise, being the turtle, being very, very slow about and intentful about what are the 5 things you're going to work on this week or 3 things you're going to work on this week. It's not 17,000 things that you have on your Trello board, to move it from here to Asana to this and that. And you have made up all these fancy workflows. No, put it on your finger. No app needed. these are the 5 things I'm working on. Everybody in your organization, your friends, your family, your people, your VAs, everybody should know these are the goals of the week this week. These are 5 things. Everybody should know that.
And I want to dive into that a little bit because you know this, entrepreneurs know this, that there are no secrets. I can tell you exactly the things to do to get in the position you're in.
No, there is a secret. One secret. You have to do the work. That's
Okay.
it. That's the secret.
Right. Yeah. And that's the main thing, though, is we're willing to give all those secrets away. Whether or not you're going to do it is up to you. So I want to talk about some of those early on tactics that make a difference. But what I'm going to be fair, I need to dumb this down for myself.
Sounds good. Yeah. Let's make sure, let's bring the highest value to your audience.
Yeah.
And give it away. It's fine. Yeah. Perfectly fine with me.
So here's my dumb question of the day. How are we going to define e-commerce in our conversation today?
So e-commerce is, in a simplest form, it's buying and selling using the internet, basically. That's it, And you could be doing it in different configurations. The most popular one that everybody understands is called B2C or D2C, direct to consumer or business to consumer, right? Yeah. That's Amazon.com. That's the biggest example of it, right? Yeah. That's the most simplest one. But then you can do B2B also. That's business to business. Paper company selling paper, Dunder Mifflin selling paper. Yeah. I'm an office fan, by the way, right? So Dunder Mifflin selling to other companies that need paper for copying paper and other types of paper needs that they have, right? That's B2B model. But you have P2P, person to person, like eBay. There are so many other models that have sprung up, but the very first one was B2C, and that's the most popular one. And the program that I have works primarily for B2C, but we do have B2B clients also that also benefit from the framework.
So let's talk about some of those tactics, and because there's the 3 different type of tranches, let's talk about the B2C.
Okay. So rule number one, Cass, it's not tactics. You have to have a strong foundation, and you have to have the right strategy that drives that foundation. Right.
Okay, so again, and I'm so glad we're having this conversation because I agree with you 100% for any business tactics, but let's define what you mean by foundation. What if I want to build my foundation today to get my YouTube channel from 12 followers to 13? That'd be a big milestone for me.
Actually, the right mindset. Okay. That's exactly the first rule of my game. Okay. Don't set gigantic goals. You're gonna fail and fall on your face. Rule number 1. What is the barometer that you want to set up? What is that scoreboard you want to set up? You just said 12 to 13. My rule is when you start your day, set a goal of 1% improvement. That's it. 1% improvement in anything that's not a vanity metrics, but it's actually a meaningful thing. In case of e-commerce, for example, you use email marketing to reach out to your consumers. Yeah. Can you move the needle just on the open rate? Forget about click-through rate. Forget about down the funnel to come to your site. Forget about those things. Yeah. Today is Thursday. Thursday morning when I wake up, before I sit down at my desk at 8 a.m. or 9 a.m., my goal is to improve my open rate by 1%. That's it. That's my rule, right? If you continue picking out the right metrics on a daily basis, it could be any part of your business. It could be in the back end order fulfillment in your warehouse, right? Something that has nothing to do with your website directly. It's indirectly, you're fulfilling orders on the back end. Improve that. Pick, pack, and ship. That entire process used to take you 3 hours to do one order. Now you're doing it in 2 hours, 45 minutes. It used to take you 18 minutes. Now it takes you 16 minutes, right? 1% improvement. That's it. That's basic rule.
Okay. So going back to that, let's kind of build on that with the foundation. Okay. Yeah. You mentioned email newsletters, like whether it's me, and real quick, I'm probably not the best example. Let's talk about the business to consumer.
Yeah.
Hopefully selling a product of some sort, physical, digital, whatever. What does that foundation look like? Are we spending time in our newsletters, in our messaging, in our paid ads? Like, what is a good foundation made of?
A good foundation is first understanding that it's not a one trick thing that you need to do. Like it's not a magic bullet. It's not at all, right?
Yeah.
It's not. This is one of the reasons like when I do consume a lot of YouTube content, right? A lot of content, right? If I'm not working, even if I'm working, if I'm focused here working on something, I have a YouTube channel running in the background. What I see is a consistent pattern, and that pattern is a lot of Shopify people, influencers, right? Or even ad people, they go like, "Oh, once you have your Shopify installed, right? It will take you a week or two to set up your store. Then the next thing you do is meta ads, right?" And then that's what they're teaching you. That's what they're preaching because they provide paid media services, right?
Yeah.
They manage your Meta Ads account, or they sell you a digital course teaching you how to manage your Meta Ads account, right? That's their reason. So they're using it as a sales funnel thing for them, right?
Right.
The problem is that e-commerce is not a single dimensional or a single tactic thing, because if you have the single channel reliance, it's a leading factor for bankruptcy. That's the one reason. Do you know how many Shopify businesses went under when iOS 14 update came about? A lot, because they had no clue that they had to do email, they had to do search engine optimization, they had to do organic social. But Gary Vee told me that organic traffic reach is 1%. So you want to do zero? You're not doing anything right now, right? Your social media is nowhere. You have zero community, right? You have zero community. You did not build it because you thought, oh, you know what? It's easy. Just let me put my Amex down on Meta ads. I'm going to run ads, and that's it.
Right.
What happens when iOS 14 came about and even Meta has not figured out how to recover from that decision, right?
Right.
From that update. And let alone right now, Google has been constantly been saying, Google Chrome has been saying that they are going to be the next one implementing some of those things, right? It was supposed to be last July, right? I think it has been punted. But if you're in the US and you're an e-com business, the primary device that's being used in the US is iPhone, right? And if it's iPhone, it's Safari. If it's Safari, it's iOS 14, right?
Yeah.
That's what you're using. Now, if you are not doing all the right things, meaning that this single channel reliance, you have to get away from it, right? You have to think about at least a secondary one like Google Ads, right? You have to think about like in the age of AI, and we should definitely dive into some of it because I do want to bring a lot of value there and give some
Definitely.
strategies there.
I mean, like we needed to learn that a year ago.
What are the three things you should be using AI for that will take you and elevate you? One of the biggest places with AI has to do with creatives, right? Every Shopify business, every WooCommerce business, every Magento business, I would say 96% of them, right? Because I have access to hundreds of them that go through my program, right? The problem is coming up with someone like me or Gary Vee or Tim Ferriss says, oh, you got to do creative testing. You got to do ad testing. You got to do creative testing on your landing pages. The email guy says you have to do creative testing. The problem is, how do you do creative testing?
Yeah.
For you to do that many creative testing, you need to have creative, right?
Right.
Before AI, that was an extremely hard thing to do because you needed to have massive budgets, right? Or you had to have enough time to take your iPhone, forget about getting a Canon camera, right? Or lights or or microphone or anything. Just a iPhone that you have in your pocket. You could use that, but you needed time and you needed the inspiration. You needed the creativity in order to generate that next piece that you could put up, even if it's an organic social post, right? To put that up, or a how-to video showing people how to use that thing in your product carousel on your landing pages. Required time. Even if you were very resourceful and you figured out I can use my iPhone, it's perfectly fine. I have a lot of brands that do that also when they're in that $0 to $1 million range, right? So but the thing is, it requires creativity, it requires time, and if you want to crank out a lot, that requires a lot of money. With AI, you can generate amazing images, static images for your ads, right? Now, this past week, Google I/O introduced Google Veo 3 and Flow.
Yeah.
Incredible, incredible. It does require, even though that they're showing you the finished product, it does some iterations, but damn, it's like Hollywood style content that you could produce. It
Yeah.
does require work. So it's not magic that you just pick up your iPhone and just put it in. Maybe 6 months from now, VO 6 is going to be doing that. That you
Right.
can just speak into it. It has all the context. It will do all those things. At VO 3, you still need to do some iterations, but damn, it's going to generate B-roll. It can generate a whole 15-second ad. As long as you're very precise with your prompts, it will do a great job. And you may need to do a couple of iterations to just get it right. You may still need to do some video editing with
Yeah.
a human video editor in order to get that thing there. SEO optimization, it's a must. It's a definite must in the AI age, right?
Yeah.
That's a number 3, right? Why? It's not dead. It's not dead. People think that, oh, Google is gone. Search is dead. That's it. No, it has been elevated. That's the thing. It's not SEO. It's AEO. It's answer engine optimization. Your content needs to be optimized in a way that's going to be that one answer when that AI, when somebody puts in a question in the AI search, AI mode on Google or ChatGPT or Claude or Manos or Perplexity or anything like that, or even once it gets rolled out into YouTube, it's going to even affect YouTube too.
Okay, so now, like, you're giving away the secret sauce, and if I hear you right now, I'm starting my business tomorrow. Here's my 3 pillars. I want to come in, and I, number one, need to make sure I'm hitting multiple platforms. I've got to make sure I'm hitting my Google ads. I got to make sure I'm using Meta. I'm using all of those. So building a broad base of delivery to start out with. Do I have step 1 correct?
Yep.
Next 2, I'm going to embrace AI. AI is not a solution. It is a tool to get to the solution faster, if I'm hearing you correctly.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. That's where we are right now. Yep.
Yeah. So identify those tools that actually will help me accomplish get the assets and resources that I need. And then number 3, still go all in on SEO. Or not all in, but make sure you're optimizing your SEO, especially in, what did you call it? AIO?
AEO.
AEO.
It's answer engine optimization.
Answer engine optimization.
Yeah.
So
you're not getting search results anymore. You're getting an answer to the query that you're making, whatever the question. And consumers are asking longer questions now. It's not like keywords anymore, right?
Okay.
And it's not 50 pages of responses. It's one response, nicely summarized for you. You read through it and then go like, oh yeah, this is interesting. And it might have multiple links in it. And you click on those multiple links to say, oh, I want to explore that. And shopping also. So zero-click marketing is a reality of today right now.
Yeah.
Zero-click marketing means that something happened off of your site but had to do with your brand.
Okay.
You need to manage that content. You need to manage your shopping feeds properly so that thing happens there and you still make money, right? But if you're not setting that up properly, you're going to get hurt.
One thing I want to make sure we don't shortchange is your perspective and your investment on AI and how you're kind of focusing now on that to even go to the next level.
Yeah, the thing is, it's also, knowing as an entrepreneur, knowing what you need to focus your time on, right? So this was one example, the session value also now can define what your week is going to look like, right? And where do you invest your time and energy onto, not that you're working on 17 hours a day. Why are you doing that? In 2025, I was working 17 hours a day because I had to develop all these things from the ground up. You know what? If the business decided that we needed to change our credit card processing, it would take me 90 days for me to actually build out the bridge between my company and the new bank that I'm going to be accepting the payments from, right? Now, It's a one click. It takes you 2 seconds to change from Shopify payments to authorize.net, right? That's the thing. Like in this day and age, you should not be doing that. You should be working smarter about the things that are meaningful, that will give you those type of results. And that's where the Rapid 2X program that we have, like, literally gives you kind of the 5 prescriptions you need to follow. How long do those things? 5 days. It takes me 15 minutes to 90 minutes per day. That's it. That's all it takes me to work on each task every day if I have the expertise. And that means that you have the expertise as an entrepreneur, or you have somebody on your team that can do it. And even in that case, Sabir, I've kissed a lot of frogs, and I don't have, and they were very poisonous frogs, meaning that I lost money by hiring them, right? Yeah. We have actually Rapid 2X approved a partners network, right? People who have been certified with Rapid 2X that know exactly that prescription in that specific specialty, how to implement it correctly, right? So we even give you access to very, very talented people and experts that are like really run their own thing, but they actually follow the Rapid 2X protocol in order to help the Rapid 2Xers implement that, because time is of the essence when you are trying to get these things out the door. In the very beginning of this interview, you said to me, Sabir, let me dumb it down. Give me the simple stuff so that everybody understands it, right?
Yep.
This is the analogy for committed versus involved is very easy. Steak and eggs.
Yeah.
Right? The breakfast item.
Yep.
The chicken is involved in giving the egg, right? For that breakfast.
Right.
The cow is all in on that steak.
Yeah.
It gave a part of itself, right? Yeah. We are looking for committed e-com founders, meaning that they are the ones, they need to show up. They take the prescription from me. They understand what needs to get done, and then they lead their company. Committed entrepreneurs are the ones, I can give you several examples of it. Oram Brothers, within the first 6 weeks, they were stuck at $1.5 million per year for 3 years, right? With mounting losses. Like within the first 6 weeks of the program, 112% improvement. Yeah. Why? They joined us on January 20th, 2024. September 9th, we surpassed their full year 2023, 1.5 million. September 9 through December 31st was pure growth. We put up another $1.5 million to end the year at 3 million. Not only that, we had increased our prices. Right. So that's the other thing that makes entrepreneurs' heart beat really fast. You want to increase prices? I keep on hearing that we should be couponing to death. Yeah, couponing to death will be your death, right? Don't do that, right? Unless there's a strategic reason for you to come up with that discounting scheme or the strategy. You need to have a proper strategy around it. In fact, why is your prices lower than everybody else? Because we want to get the volume. Yeah, but you're driving yourself to bankruptcy quicker because not only you have lower prices, you're also discounting on top. But I'm not Sabir. Yeah, your welcome email just said 15% off. You are doing that. And I just abandoned your cart. You're giving me another 30% off, right? Yeah. Yes, you are. You're giving away all this money that you don't have, right? You're doing that. At the end of the day, I know that your net cash flow, your accountant Cass is going to tell you you're in the negative. You're not breaking even, right?
Yeah. So scaling volume at a loss does you no good.
Unless you're Amazon, you have a nice coffer of capital on your back end, right? Yeah. That your goal is to have market dominance because you have a very long-term view. But most businesses that are in that 0 to 1 million, 1 to 3 million, 3 to 10 million, you cannot afford that. Don't do that,
So, well, as we kind of come to an end, I'd like to finish with just one last question that I like to ask a lot of people. But what's one lesson you had to learn the hard way along your journey?
This is a big one for me, right? This person that you see on this podcast, it took a while for this person to exist. I had an anniversary dinner with my Vitamin Shop team, a 20-year reunion or something like that, right? And then when they met me again 20 years later, because we all went on our own careers and they're doing every person is doing really well. They're like VP at Cisco, the networking company and stuff like that. Really, really well, right? They're CEOs, CMOs of other organizations and stuff like that. Back then they were junior and they were, back then I was ruthless, right? Ruthless, dictator, right? sometimes you need to be that, but there's a saying about carry a stick, but and speak firmly, but never use the stick,
Yeah.
right? But that's a good lesson. It took me a while for me to learn, and what I learned was I don't have to be that, because it was building up a lot of stress and tension, not just in me, but I was the first recipient of it, even though I was dishing it out, right? But it
You were
also
probably
created.
doing it more for yourself than you were for anyone else.
Yep. And it was hurting me also.
Yeah.
On top of it, it was also hurting that whole team dynamics. And it was more like out of fear they were doing a lot of things, not necessarily they wanted to do those things, right? And I learned over time that you don't have to be that person. You don't have to be that person. There are other ways of doing that. So that's that evolution, that overnight change took me 25 plus years to
Yeah.
to make that happen. So it does take time, right? And if you are young and successful and you know what you're doing, this is one of those blind spots that you have. That, take it from me, I've been there. You don't have to be that person at all.
Yeah.
And
And
you don't have to be either very nice that people walk over you either, right? But there is you have to strike a balance between those two worlds, right? A dictator versus an advisor.
yeah. And honestly, it's the healthier practice, looking in hindsight, is be the leader you'd want to follow.
Yeah.
Instead, what we do is we try to emulate the person that's the leader in our life, and we pick up all their bad habits.
That's the number one thing. That's actually a great advice there out of this, right? Is that when you are, especially, I don't know if you have audience members who are starting their career, right? They are just out of college or they're listening to this podcast from their college or university. The group you belong to matters, because that's going to be the initial roots and defining moment for the rest of your career, right? So if you join a company, right? When I say company, I don't mean an organization. I mean a company of team members. Like it could be Google, but you have 6 people in your company, in your
Yeah.
like a team, right? If they are doing a lot of bad habits, right? Whether it's business habits, marketing habits, engineering habits, it doesn't matter, whatever the skill set is or their behavior, right?
Personal habits, yeah.
That's going to rub off on you, whether you like it or not. It's going to rub off on you, and you have no idea how you will get conditioned if you stick with that group for 18 months to 24 months. That's going to become part of you, right?
Yeah.
You have to make sure that you are learning from the right organization. So when they say, and this, people use this very, very loosely, cultural fit, right?
Yeah.
As an individual on the other side, you have to, one of the dimensions in the 8D method, my 8 dimensions that we talked about, right? One of them is team strategy and optimization. This is what we actually do look at, in that it's an advanced dimension. Is because, one of the things I do is, if I want to hire, in a heartbeat, I'll hire that young, energetic, out of college. I'm going to teach them exactly the right habits they need to form early on.
Yeah.
As soon as they're 3 years into the workforce, and now I need to hire that resume, I need to undo a lot of the bad habits. And for some people, it's very hard for them to undo a lot of things that they learned, because that worked over there at ABC company. What are you talking about, right? No, I don't want you to do it that way. I want you to do it this way, right? This is the right way to do this thing, right? That's why they, I would rather hire somebody like that out of university and coach them and give them and learn them the ropes that they need to learn, so that they start out great habits over their career. Not that these bad habits they thought was the norm of the day. It's not. It's actually bad habits.
Yeah. Well, Sabir, I can't think of a better place to end on this. I really appreciate your time and you being a part of today's talk.
Cass, thank you for sharing your audience, your platform with me. I had a great time having this discussion with you.
Oh, excellent. Well, we'll get everybody directed to your website.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks for watching. To watch more episodes of Influencing Entrepreneurs, be sure to subscribe on YouTube at Nexagy Education.